Greeting and welcome to dear Nasser Mohajer. Nasser set the stage for us about what's going on in Iran and about Iran.
I'm very happy to be with you, and I hope I can contribute a little to your understanding of what is going on in Iran, which is not being covered uh, as it should be in European and North American journals and newspapers. Let me read the sentence that I read the exact translation of what the Fars press, which is very close to the security apparatus of the Iranian regime, of the Islamic regime of Iran. 3 weeks after the 12-day war, uh, this news agency announced, why should not we repeat the experience and the executions of 1988? Don't you think that the time for repeating that successful experience is right now? That we should repeat that? That experience helped us to run the country for so many years without any problem. And we didn't have to deal with the problem of terrorism. And now, after this terrible war and aggression towards Iran, we can feel safe if we get of our enemies the exact same way that we got rid of them in 1988. Is it going to happen, or was it a threat? We still don't know. We have been witness to the executions that come every 2 days, every 3 days, threatening people and killing a few people every a few days, and making a state of siege kind of a situation in big cities, especially Tehran, which is being controlled hourly, I would say, day and night. See, the formulation that I read for you does not say anything about what happened in 1960s, in 1988, other than the execution of political prisoners. How they executed those political prisoners, how they were tried in their Middle Ages kind of courts, or I better call it so-called courts, because they were not really courts in the modern sense of the word as we know it. And nobody knows about, they never made this, it's still a state secret. Nobody knows how, they tried, these political prisoners. We know that between some 5,000 and 6,000 political prisoners were executed in that very summer. But people know very little, if they know at all, that, they were tried in these kangaroo courts. And just a few questions. Do you believe in God? Do you do your pray? Do you believe in the organizations that you were working with? Very few questions. And if the answer was that was positive, to these questions, then they had to go and be hanged. So the details of this is not known, as it was kept as a state secret, as they never talked about it in their newspapers, in their magazines. People outside of Iran in diaspora, they know more about, what went on, if uh, simply because many political prisoners, who were released, after that experience, they came to Europe and North America each year. We have been talking about this. We commemorates that event, and we talk about it. We write about it. People write their memoirs about what happened, and it is because of this um, remembrance that we know about this event. We are living in a very different situation from 1988. We should also be ready to see some new tactics, some new so-called innovations on their part, this round, uh, and see what they do. We have to be very cautious, and we have to be very alert. We have to talk about this, as you raised the question correctly, and to it is important to make these people sensitive to this possibility that is going to that is very much possible to happen. And the more people know about such a possibility, the better it is.
One thing just brings me to, in your book you write about very significantly about the, in the title says he held his head up, about Muhammad Ali Partovi.
Right.
Yeah, the imagery has a great meaning for many, many Iranian political prisoners, having no fear and standing up. I was just reading just recently the letter that was sent by Golrukh Irai, who is in Garchak prison right now. And she puts it, uses the, poetry of Nazim Hikmat.
Right.
And it says, until their last breath, I know that they smiled all the way, staring at the enemy. They did not bow down.
Well, I think that it's important to uh, not to forget that this culture of resistance and this culture of fighting uh, and being proud of what you have done, it started, before the Iranian Revolution of 1979. During like 10, 15 years before the revolution of 1979, a new attitude developed amongst political activists. And I'm not going into detail about this because it's really something that, we it takes a book, to talk about the culture that was developed at the time. But, an important element of that culture was that um, it's important to fight. It's important not to bow. It's important not to go along with the um, uh, what is going on at any time. We are people who believe in certain things. This is our identity. We have made an identity for ourselves, and no one can break this identity. We cannot go to jail and, after being beaten, savagely by henchmen in political prisons, to say that, okay, we accept your um, words, and we are going to become good boys and good girls, and go along, with whatever you tell us. No, something that happened at the time was that, okay, prison is another front for struggle. Going to prison does not mean that the struggle is finished with. Going to prison means that a new stage in the revolutionary struggle, in democratic struggle, in struggle for uh, our rights has started. And okay, each place requires its own ways and means and of struggle. In prison, we have to find ways. We're political prisoners, and as political prisoners, we have certain rights. What happens in the Tuesdays? It's now almost a year that every Tuesday, as you mentioned very clearly and very nicely, you know, people in 50 prisons in Iran, and even outside of Iran, in solidarity with the prisoners in Iran, they go on hunger strike and uh, acts of solidarity with political prisoners in Iran. Okay, this in itself is something very important. It's the importance of it is that they have been deprived of certain rights, the rights of any human being, who is entitled, with certain rights, being in prison, not being in prison. Uh, so these rights have been denied by the Islamic regime. And since it has been denied to them by the Islamic regime, they say that, okay, we have to fight in order to gain our rights. And even, this is, as I said, it started, some 60 years ago, before the Iranian Revolution. And uh, it's the struggle that was going on inside Iranian jails at the time. It was a very peaceful struggle, so much so that the Iranian jails were called university. Okay, and the word that they were using in Persian was that دانشگاه انقلاب, meaning the University of Revolution. That in that University of Revolution, they would be reading books, many books that were, out loud in Iran, simple books, even, some novels, books with leftist tendencies were considered illegal. Many newspapers and magazines that, were being uh, were free all over the world. They were illegal, were considered illegal in the Iranian, in the Shah's regime. So for these very basic rights, they had to fight. And for these very basic rights, they had to say that, okay, we cannot have books, we cannot buy books from bookstores outside. We somehow smuggle the books in jail, and we do our reading here. We learn things, and we understand, what is going on in the world, what is going on, in Vietnam at the time, what is going on in the state in the 1968 movement, and um, everything. The Islamic regime of Iran is one of the most misogynic regimes that one can find in the world. And this happened even before the revolution. This happened even when, you had lines, great rallies, great demonstrations. And these people, we called them Hezbollah people, religious fanatics, who would come and attack, the lines of demonstrators, and threatening women who were not properly dressed, meaning they did not have the Islamic hijab, to even have their hijab or leave the demonstration. Okay. So this is, the even before the revolution, one could see here and there small signs of uh, a future that, even though Ayatollah Khomeini would hide this when talking to press, international press, that men and women are going to have equal rights. We are not going to impose anything on women, and women are objects in capitalist society, and we are going to give them their real identity, so on and so forth, in terms of propaganda. But in reality, something else was happening. So there was, without any reason, that the first demonstration that happened against the Islamic Republic of Iran was 8th of March 1979, right after the revolution, that people came to the streets and said that we do not want to go with hijab outside or to go to work with hijab. Okay. And from then on, we see every 2-3 years another act by women, okay, led by women against the regime. So what happens is that, in a way, the Islamic regime of Iran that came to uh, discipline women in Iran and put them in their own place, and their own place meaning house, child rearing, kitchen. The opposite happened, and the Iranian women saw themselves in a life and death struggle, and that if we do not move, if we do not fight, if we do not resist, we are going to have a very bad future. I mean, it's an apartheid kind of a system, with women having little rights, and this the movement, Women, Life and Liberty, this movement really changed the situation to a great degree. Each time, we saw women more militant, women more vehement, women more uh, intelligent in their work and in their demands and everything. And now one can easily say that women are playing the most active role inside Islamic Republic jail. So that is one important thing about, the understanding the role of Iranian women at this time, and seeing, trying to understand that why women are so active, in all walks of life, in all realms, in the society. Um, I think it was, with women that the term victim was somehow uh, uh, banished inside jails. What do you mean I'm a victim? I'm not a victim. I have decided my own life. I know what I'm doing. I'm a subject. I act as a subject. I'm not an object. I'm not a victim. I don't want to be a victim. Okay. And many discussions like that, with profound philosophical meaning. And this never again that you alluded to is, well, as you said, it's now an international thing. And then you ask yourself, you look at Israel and to say, really, never again. I mean, it seems that, if we want to have something not happen again, we must work for it. We must educate people, and if never again is going to be never again, it really takes work, hard work, most and for most education. Of course, it cannot be reduced to education or limited to education. Certain positive acts, concrete acts must be taken. If, there was a different education system in Israel with all the means that Israelis had, with all the resources they had, if the education system was something different, if the society was organized in a different way, if the discourse, the dominant discourse was that there is no difference between you, Jew, and me, a Muslim, Palestinian, Israeli. There is no difference. We are both human beings. We need to have, certain rights. We need to live in dignity. We need to live in equality. We need to have, a, better future for our kids. I mean, if the society was organized in a different way and educated in a different way, that Frank, I'm you please excuse me, talking about these things with you guys who have gone through this process for, I don't know, almost a century. I remember very clearly the civil rights movement that was going on in the 60s and the achievements of that mm, movement in terms of, bringing a little more equality between men and women that is being now threatened by um, the political establishment right now. But I think that, as I said, the most important thing is re-education, reorganization of the system, and to be able to look at things from a different angle and live in a different way than we have been living. I think the most important thing at the moment is solidarity with political prisoners in Iran. I think this is the most important thing at the moment. And any campaign for solidarity in terms of, uh, petitions, in terms of sending messages, in terms of having programs like this, the one that we're just having right now, discussing the real situation in Iran, discussing the real situation in the Middle East. The Middle East is going through a very, very, very difficult, crucial uh, time. And it is important that, I mean, I don't know, uh, we are living in a very bad world. Um, I don't know. I mean, this is another discussion in itself. And now we can say with certainty that the vast majority of the Iranian people do not support and do not identify themselves with the Islamic Republic of Iran. Okay. They want democracy, they want a society based on different uh, value systems. They don't want what is going on right now, a middle age kind of a uh, um, government which lies and which um, suppresses any voice of freedom. But I think even much more important than the solidarity with the Iranian people who are in a very, very delicate situation at this moment. We do not know what is going to happen in few months' time. Society is going through a lot of changes. There is so much discussion amongst the different wings of the Iranian regime. We do not know what will happen to this internal fight that is going on there, everything. So even though the Iranian society is in a very, very crucial moment of its life, I think solidarity with the people of Gaza is much more important. It's a shame of humanity. When I watch the TV and look at these kids dying every day, 50 of them, 60 of them, I mean, this cannot be tolerated. History will make judgment on our generation. as it did judgment on the generations of the late 1930s and 40s in Europe. I think more than anything else, there is the importance of solidarity with the people in Palestine, in Gaza. That's my last word.